Hello and welcome. If you're someone who teaches, studies, or is planning to build a career in media, then this one's for you. We are going to break down one of the most vital skills of our time, media literacy. And we'll be using the incredible research of Dr. Sudheendra S G to build a practical toolkit for navigating our, let's face it, incredibly complex digital world. And let's be clear right from the start. This isn't just some academic subject you study for an exam. In a world where we are literally drowning in information, being able to critically understand the media we consume every single day, well, that has become a fundamental survival skill, not just for us as individuals, but for our society as a whole. To get a sense of the scale of this, just think about this number. 750 million smartphone users in India alone. That's 750 million screens where opinions are being formed, where decisions are influenced, and where our culture is being shaped second by second. The magnitude is just staggering, and it's exactly why this conversation is so incredibly urgent right now.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the sheer scale of this media flood we're all in. Then we'll get into the real-world consequences of it all. From there, we'll actually start building our toolkit, understand the theory behind it, and finally, we'll put it all into practice with some real, concrete examples.
All right, first up, the modern media deluge. You know, we're not just dipping our toes in content anymore. We're living in a full-blown ocean of it. And in this ocean, our attention has become the most valuable currency there is.
And these numbers, wow, they really show you just how immersed we are. Adults are spending on average 4 to 5 hours a day glued to a screen. But for teenagers, that number just skyrockets to 7 to 9 hours. Think about that. When we spend that much of our waking life consuming media, we're handing it immense power over how we think, feel, and act.
Okay, so what are the actual real-world consequences of all this? Because this isn't just about feeling a little tired of your phone. We're talking about tangible, sometimes very high-stakes outcomes. And sometimes, this can literally be a matter of life and death. The fake news epidemic is not just a catchy phrase. Back in 2018, viral misinformation that spread like wildfire on WhatsApp directly led to horrific, real-world instances of mob violence in India. This is the true danger of an unfiltered media ecosystem. Now, the consequences aren't always that dire, but they can be just as manipulative. I mean, think about advertising. When you see one of those really clever, funny campaigns during the IPL, are you just watching entertainment? Or are you watching a highly sophisticated tool designed to create a sense of urgency and that classic fear of missing out? Brands have become absolute masters at blurring that line.
And this power also shapes our cultural norms, often without us even realizing it. From classic Bollywood tropes like the angry young man, to using specific accents just for comic relief, media constantly reinforces stereotypes. And of course, this bleeds right into politics, where highly targeted ads can so easily blur that critical line between fact and outright propaganda.
Okay, we've laid out the challenges, and it can seem pretty overwhelming. But now, let's shift from the problem to the solution. It is time to define and build our media toolkit, focusing on the skills that actually empower us.
At the very heart of this is the formal definition, and it's built on 5 key actions: the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act. These 5 verbs, right here, they are the foundation for everything we're about to build. Now that definition becomes a really powerful framework when we turn it into these 5 actionable pillars for our toolkit. It's a clear process, right? You start by accessing credible information. Then you analyze it to see what's really being said. You evaluate it for bias. You learn to create your own content responsibly. And finally, you act by engaging with the digital world in an ethical way. Okay, let's go a little deeper now. For all the media students and educators watching, this next part is absolutely key. We're going to talk about decoding the hidden language of media by really understanding the mechanics behind the message. A foundational concept here is Stuart Hall's model of encoding and decoding. So, a creator encodes a message with a specific intent, but we, the audience, decode it based on our own lives, our own context. The Zomato ad is a perfect example. They encode the idea that convenience equals happiness, but audiences decode it so differently. For some, it's a brilliant time saver. For others, it's promoting unhealthy eating habits. The key takeaway? The message sent is not always the message received. So to help you become a better decoder, here are 5 crucial questions you should ask of any, and I mean any, piece of media. First, who actually made this? 2, what techniques are they using to grab my attention?
3. How might someone else see this totally differently? 4. What values are being pushed here? And maybe more importantly, what's being left out? And finally, the big one. Why was this message sent in the first place?
Okay, so we have all this great theory. How do we actually apply it? This final section is all about putting media literacy into practice, giving you some concrete tools you can use in the classroom and, in your own life. A fantastic exercise is to analyze news bias. Just take one single news story and compare how 3 different outlets cover it. You'll immediately start to notice how the framing, the headlines, and even the specific words they choose can create entirely different narratives for the exact same event. The point here isn't to decide who's right, but to understand how their choices actively shape your perception.
And for all the educators out there, here's an activity you can use tomorrow. Take a viral floored from the infamous WhatsApp University. Get your students to try and find its original source, cross-verify the claims with fact-checking sites, and then, this is the most important part, discuss why it was so emotionally appealing and shareable to begin with.
And here are the tools to actually do that work. You should probably bookmark these. For dedicated fact-checking in India, you have sites like Alt News and Boom. For images, Google's reverse image search is an absolute game changer. And for understanding policy and law, PRS Legislative Research is an incredible, credible resource. Ultimately, this is what it all comes down to. This is the goal. Media literacy isn't about building a wall to shut out the world. It's about transforming yourself from being just a passive consumer of information into an active, critical, and responsible participant and creator in this digital space.
So we end with a question for you. For all the teachers, the journalists, the filmmakers, and the communicators of tomorrow listening to this, how will you take these tools, these ideas, and use them to help build a more informed, a more critical, and a more ethical digital India? The toolkit is now in your hands.